success, ideas,
motivation.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, thanks for having me here, TEDx. It's a pleasure to speak here. I graduated in 2003 at LPC, so speaking here definitely brings back a lot of fond memories. And no, I'm definitely not talking about failing French at initial, and definitely no, not talking about the 730 classes. So a lot of people ask about how do we get into politics, and the experience at LPC definitely is the beginning of our political journey. I still remember one of those fond memories where we were having those college meetings. Back then, I graduated in 2003, so it was like, how many years already? 12 years? Oh my God, I'm old. So 12 years back then, this facility didn't exist. So we have our college meetings at the lawn in the middle of the academic buildings, where we kind of surround the lawn and we talk about important issues, really, really important issues. We talk about the uprise of radical, fundamental Islamic stuff, and then we talk about the historical conflict of India and Pakistan. We talk about the increased security measure of the American government took after the post 9/11, and most importantly, we find out who clogged the toilet at Block 2. Those are the things that we talk about every single week, and those are the stuff that really was the starting foundation of a political career. Because before LPC, I was at a local school, DBS, and then while people are different, different people are unique, I've never been in a place where people are so different, so unique. Because at LPC, people are literally coming from all around the world, from different walks of life, different backgrounds and stuff like that. So we're having these college meetings where, there was this Canadian kid who would go on and on about like different things, like every single week. And I saw these like Hong Kong students like, because college meetings is always right before lunch, right? So there would be these Hong Kong students who were like, oh my God, like, can we have him stop already? We want to go to lunch. So I thought at the time that it was a cultural different thing. Little did I know, the other Canadians feel exactly the same. So it was maybe a person, like, that's that person. But anyhow, a lot of people are very surprised to find out that I graduated from LPC, knowing that my political affiliation. For those of you that didn't know, I'm from the Liberal Party. And for those of you that are not from Hong Kong, or for those of you that are not familiar with Hong Kong politics, the Liberal Party is anything but liberal. we're sort of like the Conservative Party in Hong Kong, not unlike the Republicans in the US, like the Conservative Party in the UK, or the Liberal Party in Australia. And being liberal is sort of like, let's go on and explain what liberal is. Liberal is traditionally associated with equal rights, associated with equal income, and maybe a more socially forefront stuff. And conservatives maybe another direction. So a lot of people will wonder, at a place where we celebrate cultural diversity, when we celebrate racial, ethnic, gender diversity, and where we hang up poster making fun of George Bush and hang up poster worshiping Bob Marley, how can anyone graduated here possibly be conservative? I'm not going to talk about my personal example just now, but I want to bring you guys to another event that just occurred last year, the Occupy movement. Who doesn't know about the Occupy movement in Hong Kong? Who doesn't? Please raise your hand. Okay, so everyone knows about it, okay? Who participated in the Occupy movement? Messi? Nobody. Okay, all right. Two guys over there. And Occupy movement is a very special event in Hong Kong history. We have never had such large-scale demonstration to that extent. And one thing that occurred during this period of time, the society has became more polarized. Who know what a yellow ribbon is? Okay, what is a yellow ribbon? What does it represent?
They support the Occupy movement. You support the Occupy movement.
Okay, so wearing a yellow ribbon means you support the Occupy movement. Okay, so anyone knows what's a blue ribbon? Blue ribbon? No? Those that occupy? Do you know what? Yeah, but what exactly does it stand for? Okay, yeah, that's correct. Actually, in fact, I want to go back to yellow ribbons actually represent supporting the students, and blue ribbons actually represents supporting the police. Before the Occupy movement, if you ask around, who are supporters of the government? Who are supporters of the government? Most of the people there would not tell you that they're supporters of the government, because it just sounds uncool, right? I mean, I support the government. What does that even mean, right? But in fact, if you look at the vote in the last election, about 40% of the people vote for the pro-establishment camp, which traditionally is associated with supporting the government, and 60% support the Democratic side. And so you want to ask, when that, a lot of the media would say, okay, that 40% were perhaps just due to the fact that they were being bribed, so-called, by maybe some of the district welfare that the pro-establishment camp, the party provides, like, you know, free lunches and whatnot, and stuff like that. But since the Occupy movement, we have seen people that came out and tell you that they genuinely support the government, and they're anti-yellow ribbon. Why is that? Why is that? Let me tell you how people formulate their political ideas. These are based on observation we have these few years. First of all, personal interest. So, say a particular political form would benefit you directly. That's self-explanatory, right? I support a political system that benefits me directly. Say if I'm well off, then maybe I support a party that proposes a low tax, right? If I'm maybe in the middle class or in the grassroots, then I support a political party that suggests a high welfare, right? That's pretty self-explanatory. The second form is projection. The second form of how people formulate their political ideas is by projection. It's not so much of a personal interest, but how you see yourself in the society. For example, young people are prone to support the pan-Democrats, while older people are prone to support the pro-establishment. It's because in the workplace, or the people that they deal with, they see young people, like the supporters of the pro-establishment will say, oh, these young people, they're not industrious, they don't care about stuff, and they don't care about us elderly and stuff like that. And so they project a negative, image on these young people. So whatever the young people do, they will have a negative thought about it. And therefore, they stand on the opposite side of these young people. This is how they formulate their political ideas. But how do they strengthen their political ideas? It's through opposition. It's through opposition. What do I mean by opposition? When someone come out and say, hey, I support the environment, okay, therefore, in this auditorium, we should switch off the air conditioning because we're wasting electricity. Then someone say, hey, we should not do that. Even though it's environmental friendly, it's just stupid to switch off the air conditioning. And even though I may agree with you, but you just called me stupid, right? You just called me stupid. So for me to acknowledge anything that you said, I'm acknowledging the fact that I'm stupid too. We see that a lot of that in the Occupy movement, because you see, yellow ribbons represent a lot of things, not just like pro-democracy. It represents gay rights and pro-environment and income equality and stuff like that. And the blue ribbon, some of the blue ribbon might not necessarily disagree with all of those. Okay, but what happened was the yellow ribbon started calling the blue ribbon's name. When there's action, there's reaction. You will not agree with someone that tells you that you're stupid. And before you know it, even though before you actually deep down you support democracy, but just because this guy who says he supports democracy said you're stupid, then maybe democracy is not something I like. Maybe democracy is not something I like. This is how people become opposition. And this is how our society has become so polarized nowadays. We have never seen this polarization before. And with the social media, it's only getting worse. Back in the days when I was at LPC, nobody knows anything about Hong Kong politics because we don't read newspaper. I know on campus we don't, well, how many TVs do we even have? 4? 2, okay? So we obviously don't have any access to those information, right? And we don't read newspaper. But nowadays we read a lot of social media, so we kind of know what's going on. But here's the thing about Facebook and other social media. They show you stories that you read the most. They show you stories that your friends share. And most likely your friends are people who think alike. So you reiterate your own political ideas. You're becoming more consumed in your own reality. And the more you consume in your own reality, the more you feel like the other side are just stupid or non-existent. This has caused a huge polarization in Hong Kong politics. And I urge one thing, as LPC, we celebrate difference. But I want you to ask yourself this. Are we genuinely celebrating difference? Or are we just celebrating different people that share our own ideas? Thank you.